Thank you for being mature enough to be here. My plan, this is my plan. I want to keep ramping up this series for guys going to college, and I want to secretly dismiss all those other stupid videos I do on that main subject that I hate doing, but that people have always supported. I'm trying to change the maturity level by realizing, hey, what I've got talking about in these videos is much more interesting and relevant and from my heart. I mean, we're talking about 100% heart in these videos, 0% heart in the other ones. So thank you again for being mature enough to support this series, because the free market reigns. The free market determines what I am able to do videos about. I'm not gonna waste my time doing a video about something only 30 people will watch. So thank you for being here. Let's get to work on this new series that is still honestly still in the testing pilot phase. But the video is called Advice to Guys Going to College. You're attracted to and attracting a certain kind of female. Our great friend Jarmo, who's the one who ultimately gave me the suggestion for this series, Jarmo said this, quote, "Now that we're finally going down this path, how about you cover breakups? Arguably, it's a big part of college. I would really love your output on it, because for me, breakups are the worst, even worse than," and he names the topic that I talk about in other videos. I won't even say the words on these videos. That's how far removed I am from that other topic. But yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think it's great to go into college knowing how to break up with someone, and similarly, how to turn someone down. Because if you're doing things right, according to the list that I talk about all the time, as far as knowing what females are actually attracted to, physically not much, that you're smiling and that you're dressed nicer than the average Joe, but then also specifically what they find attractive is that you're confident, that you believe in yourself, you respect women, and you help your fellow man, you find your identity and your unique skill set, you're healthy and active, you're decisive, you're committed, you show leadership qualities, you're a good communicator, you're funny, and you're emotionally intelligent, you're in control of your own emotions. So that's the things that actually matter. But I think if you do those things right, what's going to happen is, even more so than even how do I break up with someone, it's going to be how do I turn someone down and not make them feel horrible about themselves. You know, girls have to, I guess, think more about that so than guys, but it's something, I'm speaking from experience on that. I had to do that one time, and so to me, I equate them together. So there's my opening for the video. What I'm going to say is this: the number one rule when it comes to breaking up with someone is, when you break with a female, you cannot, no matter how much they ask for it, you cannot give them a reason that has anything to do with them. Now, I understand it's a cliche. It's not you, it's me. But ultimately, 100% of the time, that needs to be not what you say, but ultimately the concept behind it. So obviously, never say, it's me, it's not you, it's not you, it's me. Never say that, but we're going to base the language off of that concept, because that's ultimately what it is. Because there's an understanding, and I don't want it to be true, but it typically is true. Typically, men are expected to be in control of our own emotions. Women are not. Women typically, in theory, are better at receiving criticism than females. So you never want to make it specific to something that they did wrong or could have improved or whatever. Because I remember one time, there was someone who ultimately I said, hey, we've been hanging out a long time. We like being around each other. We're good friends. Why won't you ask me out? This is a long time ago, but I remember that happening. And the real reason was because, whether you perceive this about me or not, but in reality, I am quite a religious guy. I am very serious about my Christian faith. And I saw that she wasn't on that same level. And I saw that being an issue, too much paperwork to get involved to even go down that path. And there was a maturity issue too. There was a couple years between us, and not always a problem, but in that situation it was. And I thought, I don't want to start dating someone that's I already know is a pre-ex-girlfriend, is ultimately what it was gonna be. So even in my youth, in my 20s, I was smart enough. She specifically asked me, why won't you date me? What is it about me? And I refused to give a reason, because if you ever give a female a reason, she will always hold on to that and resent that. Well, you have to assume that. Hopefully that won't be the case, but you have to go into that assumption. You don't want to further break any relationships more than you have to. And I'm saying if you're specific for a reason, it's going to be bad. So what you want to do, you got to make it about yourself somehow. Not in a way that you're weak, but in a way that is somehow about you and your direction of your life or something like that. That's going to be my best advice that I can give. Now, I also want to say this too. It's very important too that you don't get into a relationship with someone that you don't actually care about to begin with, obviously. That's the whole thing. But I feel the whole conversation we're having is a mature one, and that is that you actually do care about someone that you're breaking up with. So if you're going to have a specific reason, it would need to be about you. I guess worst case scenario, if you really had to have it, it would be a matter of that you personally don't feel a connection on your end of them. That's about as most targeted you could get, because I think that's an understanding females definitely can grasp. There's a matter of, because keep in mind, and I always say this, women are attracted to you much more on that other stuff that I talk about and that list that I started the video of than they do your looks. Your looks matter very little. That you're smiling and that you're dressed nice than the next guy, that's about the extent of how they're judging you in your looks. All the other stuff is beyond that. So it's a matter of accepting that and working with that and knowing that. So you want the whole topic to ultimately be about you in your life, but if you need to make it about something that's going to at least be a little bit toward her, that's hopefully not going to make her feel judged, you would say something along the lines of, I have felt very strongly about you, but I have to say that there's a certain connection that I feel is just not there, and it breaks my heart to say that and to even feel this way. But I owe it to you to be honest, and that's what I'm going through right now. So there, I would say that's the most honest thing you could say in a breakup for it to end in respectful terms. Because the whole thing is, yeah, sure, it's a mess, whatever, but you want the person still to respect you as much as possible when it's said and done. That's very important. That's how men are judged, on how we're respected. So even if you do break someone's heart, and it's very hard for them, ultimately, if it ends with them still respecting you, then I'd say that's ultimately your goal in doing that. So again, you're not going to blame her for anything. You're not going to bring up anything she did wrong. You could say you're feeling a lack of a connection that you're looking for that's not there. That's about as specific as I would ever get. Other than that, it's about you and your journey of life, or your life's going in a different direction, or whatever it is. But if you being somewhat vague leads to needing something, I would say feeling that lack of connection that you were looking for, and you just know that to be fair to her, you need to end it now. That's honesty. I feel that's a respectable answer to go by. But again, it's not just breaking up. You may have to, I don't know, I remember in college, for me, a lot of it was too, is we're friends. Is this turning into something more? Do I want this to turn into something more? I don't want to, and I was very mindful of that. Always, a guy and a girl can be attractive and be friends without dating. And because a lot of times that's the best. A lot of times being in love and dating is based on your personalities anyway. That you have the right kind of personality that grooves with theirs. And it's funny because I'm very fascinated by the Enneagram personality test. Please Google that. ENNEA gram. Enneagram personality test. It's funny because in hindsight, now that we've been married nearly 12 years, my wife and I recently looked up our personalities, and they have a whole thing online where you can find out who you're best suited for. And fortunately, number one, which is what I am, and number two, so number one is the leader, the changer, and then number two is the supporter. And fortunately, they're like the perfect match. So a lot of it usually is going to come down to that anyway. But when you're friends and you have things in common and you're both attractive people, oh, I guess we're supposed to date. Well, for me, I didn't. I often didn't. If I could see that we were too much alike for it to work. So there you go. There's my tips and direction on that. I love doing these videos. So your comments are the fuel. Give me fuel. Give me fire. Give me that which I desire.